Before you start comparing home prices and school ratings and the difference between Wilson and Sumner counties, we're going to need you to ask yourself one question first.
And it's probably not the question you think.
How do you actually want to spend your weekend?
Because the answer will probably help you figure out which county best fits your family.
Hi, I'm Natalie, and I live in Sumner County.
Hi, I'm Casey, and I live in Wilson County.
And we're about to have a conversation with you that most realtors won't.
So here's the thing. We could sit here and rattle off a bunch of statistics for you about school ratings, average commute times, and average home prices in or around downtown Nashville.
And honestly, Casey, they could Google that in about 5 minutes, right?
But what Google doesn't tell you is how it actually feels to live here. And that's where most families typically get tripped up.
Right. They start their home tours, they fall in love with a home, and 6 months later, they're thinking to themselves, wait, why am I in the car for 20 minutes every time I need to grab coffee with a friend?
Right? Or another one is, why do I always feel like I'm in the car every time I turn around?
Exactly. So that's why we're going to walk you through the real differences, not just the stuff that you're going to find on relocation blogs, but the stuff that you deal with every single day living here, because we actually live here.
Right. We work with families who are leveling up, buying their second or third home, wanting more space, lifestyle change, and maybe just room for their kids to grow.
So if that's you, stay with us, because at the end, you're going to know exactly which county fits you best. Okay, so let's start the weekend question. Casey, what do you feel like most families do in Wilson County to spend their weekends?
I feel like here in Wilson County, it's a very structured feel. We have Long Hunter State Park, Cedars of Lebanon, Nashville Sounds Games. We have the Wilson County Fair, which is
the fair is huge, right? For sure.
It's massive. A lot of families really love that. They like having options, places to go, things planned. It's active, but it feels very intentional, very well planned.
For sure. I totally get that. Which is really different from Sumner County.
Okay, so how so? Tell me more.
In Sumner County, especially being on that side of Old Hickory Lake, weekends feel a bit more organic. It's like you're not necessarily driving somewhere to do something. You're more existing. You know, the neighbors are out on the boat. You're planning meeting your friends at Saunders Ferry Park. Kids are riding bikes to other kids' houses. It's very much more just kind of close-knit.
So it's, from what I'm hearing, it's less planned and like more spontaneous.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that one's better than the other. I'm just saying that they support completely different lifestyles. If your families thrive on having full calendars and driving to activities, Wilson County is going to feel really good to you.
Sure. But if you want your weekends to feel a little bit slower pace, I don't know, just feel like you're not always getting in the car.
Yeah. Sumner County's probably going to be that better fit.
Well, and here's the thing. Most people, when they're typically starting their home buying process, aren't necessarily looking at those types of things that impact their daily lives.
Right. They think about the house. They think about the commute to work or the commute to Nashville. They don't really think, how is Saturday morning going to feel? Okay, Casey, so let's talk about the lake thing, because this is where people, I feel like, tend to get the most confusion, especially the differences between the two favorite counties.
Sure. So yes, Mount Juliet is technically the city between the lakes, but it doesn't necessarily feel like a lake town.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard you say that multiple times. So tell me, how does it not feel like? I mean, you got Percy Priest just to the south. You've got Old Hickory just to the north. How does it not feel like a lake town?
Like, the lakes are there, you see them, but they're not part of our daily life. So you have to be very intentional to go to one of the lakes, to drive to them. They're just not.
Whereas in Sumner County, specifically Hendersonville, certain parts of Gallatin, Old Hickory Lake is front and center. It's everywhere. Either you're on it, you're near it, you know somebody who lives on it. It's very much, especially in the summertime, front and center of your weekend lifestyle.
So it sounds like it's probably a priority for your family. It's always there.
For sure, one of the main reasons why we chose Sumner County, we liked being able to walk to the water. We liked having our kids learn to ski and wakeboard and tube, and just being able to pop out there like after work because it was so conveniently located, and spending the summer evenings like just hanging out on the docks.
So it sounds like Sumner County feels way more connected to that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, and here's where it's cool. You can buy a home on or near the lake in Sumner County and still have super easy access to things like Target and Costco and Publix. And, you know, the normal stuff that you need every day is where, and I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. If you want to live on the lake on this side, I feel like you have to give up those conveniences of being close to those shopping things.
Which can be different because in some lake communities, you have to give up some of those conveniences in order to be close to the lake and be able to do all those fun things.
Yeah, you know, and trading that. So exactly. And you know, we just got a Lululemon at the streets of Indian Lake.
Ooh.
We have a Best Buy that just opened. And so we have kind of all your day-to-day things. What I think is a common misconception about Hendersonville and Gallatin is that, you know, we're not known as this big shopping destination.
Honestly, though, that's a plus for a lot of families.
So how so?
I think the big takeaway is that it keeps people from out of the county coming in to shop. It's mostly just locals.
Yeah, which also kind of probably helps keep that small town feel intact. And, you know, if you want a bigger selection, you can always drive into Nashville because it's only like 20 to 30 minutes away.
Okay, so let's talk commute. That's where a lot of families get stuck.
And it's not as simple as people think.
Right. So for Wilson County, especially Mount Juliet, the closer you are to I-40 and how close you are to B&A really matters.
You know, and that's been a huge draw that I've seen from families. Like most of the times when I get on the phone with them, I hear them say like, I really want to be in Mount Juliet because of that close proximity to B&A.
We also have something that's really cool. WeGo, or the Music City Star commuter, which is a commuter train that will take folks down to downtown. So
right.
They can hop on that and don't have to worry about traffic at all.
Yeah.
Commuting.
And so Sumner County, the key to how quickly you can get downtown is your access to 386. Like if you're in certain parts of Gallatin, you actually have a quicker commute to Nashville than certain parts of Hendersonville. But if you look at it on the map, you would think that it would be in reverse, but it's literally based on that proximity to 386.
So tell me about what if they're down on one of the peninsulas near the lake? How does that play into it?
So if you're looking at peninsula lifestyle, I mean, some of those, depending on how deep you are into the peninsula, like you can look at 40 to 60 minutes just to get downtown because it could take you a good 15 to 20 minutes just to get out to 386. So that definitely changes if commute time is a priority to you where you really want to be in there. So
that's really similar with Wilson County too, because not every neighborhood has the same access.
Right, exactly. So if you're looking at homes and asking that question, like, how long is it going to take me to commute into Nashville? Your access point is going to vitally play a big role, whether you're choosing Mount Juliet or Sumner County.
So Natalie, let's talk about community for a second, because that's probably a really big one that I hear a lot from families.
Yeah, so like I feel like Sumner County is very small town feeling in a lot of ways. It's kind of a tight-knit community. Like once you get, especially if you have young children, once you've got kids and they're involved in schools and sports and local events, you start seeing people you know everywhere you go, just like you would be in a small town. Like you can't go anywhere without seeing somebody that you know. So
you're gonna go to Publix, and you're definitely going to run into someone from like your kid's soccer team.
Absolutely.
So be prepared.
Every single time it's got that small town vibe. And we're growing. So Hendersonville and Gallatin are still very much growing communities. But it still feels very natural and small there. Yep.
And I think that's what we both love about our communities. Wilson County is definitely much more spread out, but you still get that vibe, but you do have to seek out people a little bit more because it's a little bit more spread out.
Right.
But it still has a great community feel.
Yep. Which some families, I feel like it depends on your family. What are you going to love more? Are you going to love feeling like you're in a small town, bumping into your neighbor every time you go to the grocery store or the gas station, or do you want a little bit more, autonomy as far as, you could run to Target and Publix, and because it's such a larger population, you don't tend to run into people like that as often.
Yeah, I think it's Wilson County because it's a little bit more spread out,
right?
A little bit larger. If you want a little bit more privacy between your neighbors, you might find that a little bit more
right.
in Wilson County.
And I really feel like the schools are probably very much comparable. I mean, they're both top rated, sought after school systems. So no matter picking Wilson or Sumner, I think you're going to, with doing your research and stuff like that. And that's what we tell all of our parents moving to the areas, like, really research the schools,
100%.
like go visit the schools, talk to the people in the schools before you make that final decision. Because at the end of the day, that's something us as realtors, we really can't talk too much about, but we can guide you in how to find out that information. So, and don't just stick to online resources when it comes to that. Literally go visit the schools. I know I love your story about what happened when you moved here. You want to share a little bit of that?
Yeah, so we moved here. We had a teenage daughter entering her sophomore year, and 100%, we really liked the idea of being at Mount Juliet. We were very green, new to the area. So we toured every single school within the Mount Juliet area. So we got a feel for each one, but nothing helps you better prepare than being in the environment, talking to the counselors, talking to the principal, talking to the students. And they were all very, very helpful, very welcoming, very inviting. So we really got to have a personal tour, got to see for ourselves instead of hearing it from people, the chatter from everybody, you should go here, you should go there. We got to experience it for ourselves. And I would 1000% recommend anybody get out there and get off the phone, get in there in person, and talk to people, meet people.
Yeah.
Everyone is so kind and helpful.
ChatGPT is great.
Correct.
But it's not always 100% accurate. So
yeah, for sure.
There is that.
For sure. And it's something like, it's great for facts, but you get to really chat with people and they'll tell you what they love about their community, which you're not going to get that from any other online source.
No.
But here's something else to think about. Wilson County is seeing a ton of development right now. Golden Bear, that whole area is expanding with new neighborhoods popping up, retail. It's just really blowing up, and we're seeing more and more stuff popping up all the time, which is very exciting.
Right, which I think is a huge draw for Mount Juliet. When you compare the growth in Hendersonville or Gallatin, it's a much slower growth. There's not as many large developments coming and popping up and different things like that. And while, yes, we're seeing neighborhood growth, so you can definitely get new construction on both sides of the lake if that's what you're kind of going for, is that new construction vibe. You can get nice community neighborhoods that have been here for 20, 30 years on both sides of the lake. So I feel like everybody's like, well, Mount Juliet's got this, why can't we have it? And we do sometimes question that. Yeah. Because you all have got the at home. You got
Wilson County has a lot to choose from right now.
A lot to choose from as compared to, us on that side of the lake. And it's just different.
I think it just goes back to what everybody wants and what's going to be the best fit for them, their lifestyle, their family, their commute. And both counties offer a lot of great things, but they're also just very different.
Absolutely. You're right. Nothing's wrong with either. It just depends on what fits your lifestyle the best. Okay, so let's talk outdoor space for a second.
Let's do it.
Okay, so in Sumner County, you have Saunders Ferry Park, which is right on the lake. There's disc golf there that's built into that whole park. There's a running park over there. You've got the mountain bike trails at Lock 4 Park, which is also on Old Hickory Lake. We're seeing a repeatable pattern. Everything's on the lake up there.
Everything's around the lake.
Everything's
lake life.
around
Lake life.
You've also got Bledsoe Creek State Park, which is located upriver on the Cumberland River. There's lots of hiking trails there. There's a campground there, you know, all of the things that encompass in a state park. So, yeah. So, what about Wilson County?
Okay, so in Wilson County, we have Long Hunter State Park, which is probably one of my favorites. They have a little lake there area. You can rent paddle boards. It's especially in the summertime, it's really active. It's paved all the way around. You can walk. Great. They have a little nature hike, a little book. You can kind of follow along, read the book as you do the little nature hike. It's right along Percy Priest. We love putting on our hiking shoes, and you can go, it's 8 miles.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much go out and back, go for days. Super, super friendly. You do have to drive to it. And then you also have Cedars of Lebanon, which is also gorgeous. You also can camp there, which is great.
And that's on Old Hickory too, right?
Cedars of Lebanon, I don't think that one's on Old Hickory.
Okay.
It's more like out in Lebanon.
Okay.
So
maybe not.
We've haven't done a ton of exploring out there, to be honest. But one thing we really do like is there's a lot. It's really rocky. In Cedars of Lebanon. Living here in Middle Tennessee, you have a lot of rock formations. Yeah. Which makes it just really interesting. Right. You're going to want to watch your footstep because there's a lot of rocks, roots. But it keeps you engaged while you're hiking out there walking because there's always something to look at. It's absolutely beautiful. So those are probably like our two favorites.
Awesome. So regardless, either side of the county, you've got plenty of outdoor activity that is a short drive away. Plus, we're only a couple of hours from some of the most beautiful waterfalls in the whole country.
Yeah.
Which I think
an hour. You could be there an hour in Cookeville. So, it's anywhere from being in Sumner County where it's really integrated into your lifestyle. Being in Mount Juliet, you could be there in 20 minutes, or you can pack a picnic in an hour, be at a beautiful Burgess Falls.
Yep. So here's what we want you to take away from this.
You've got Wilson County and Sumner County, which are both amazing, but we're not here to tell you that one is better than the other.
But they do support totally different lifestyles.
So if you're wanting a little bit more structure, close proximity to the airport, and you don't mind driving to, say, activities or amenities,
Wilson County is going to be your best bet.
But if you're wanting more of that lake life, small town community, then probably you want to go to
Sumner County might be a better fit.
And the only way to know is to ask yourself that weekend question.
How do I want to spend my Saturday mornings?
Because that's where the differences honestly really show up.
If you want more breakdowns like this and real talk about neighborhoods in and around Wilson and Sumner counties, make for sure that you're subscribed to the channel, and we will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Bye.